Hi guys, it's Miss Perry. Let's talk about simple machines today. And these are just some examples. Most of these are in your book. So we'll just want to go over the basic ones. Okay, so a machine makes work easier. And it can multiply the force, multiply the distance the force moves something, or changes the direction of the force. Okay, so those are the three things that a machine can do. Now, when you think of a machine, you think of something complex like a motor or a car engine, something like that. We're talking about simple machines. So a simple machine is just we're going to talk about it. So you'll see what I'm talking about. All right, so a couple things about machines. The input force is what you do. When you push on it or squeeze it or pull it, that's what you do. That's the input force. The output force is what the machine does. Okay, so if you push on a top of a stapler, then it's going to staple the papers, that kind of thing. Okay, so examples are hammer, bicycle ramp, scissors, shovel, and doorknob. Those are all examples of simple machines. Okay, so machines can do a variety of jobs, and there's just some examples. They make work easier by changing the size or direction of the applied force. Okay, so the first one I want to talk about is an inclined plane, and that's just a ramp. Like if you're loading a moving truck, it's much easier to push things up a ramp than it is to lift it and put it in the truck. So that's making your job easier. Wedges and screws. A wedge is an inclined plane that moves like an axe or a knife. And a screw is an inclined plane wrapped around a cylinder. So if you have you want to look at a screw, you can see it's like a little windy road on a mountain. It's going around and around and around. So that's an inclined plane wrapped around that middle cylinder. So think of it as a nail with an inclined plane wrapped around it. Okay, so what do machines do? They make work easier, but they do not multiply the work. So the output can never be greater than the input. So the output force can never be more than what you're doing, what you're putting in. So, okay, let's look at levers. A lever or lever, whichever way you want to say it, is a bar that pivots around a fixed point where the force is applied. So this is an easy example of a lever, a seesaw. And this middle part right here is called the fulcrum. Okay, so the lever, it wouldn't be a lever unless there was a fulcrum. There was something to balance it on and pivot. There's three classes of levers. Fulcrum is between the effort force and the resistance force. So that's like a crowbar, pliers, scissors, the seesaw we just saw. And the resistance force is between the fulcrum and the effort force. So that's like a wheelbarrow. The effort force is greater than the resistance force and the fulcrum. Okay, so let's look at what we just said. You have three different types. You have a class 1, where your load is on one side and the effort's on the other. So that's like a seesaw. You're pushing down on one side and it pulls up the other side. Okay. Class 2 is where the effort and the load are on the same side of the fulcrum. Okay, so that would be like a stapler. All right, so class 3 is where you have the fulcrum and the load and the effort on the other side. Okay, and that'd be like scissors. And those are just a few examples. There's probably more examples in the book, I'm pretty sure, so you want to take a look at those. Okay, and here's another picture to show you what we're talking about. You have a lever, and we just talked about that. A wheel and axle is similar to a pulley, but it's more of a think about a doorknob. You're turning it and it's moving inside. If you think about the old manual pencil sharpeners, that's a wheel and axle. Pulleys are if you have a rope around it or a chain around the wheel, and you will see that if like you're raising a flag on a flagpole, there's a pulley at the top, things like that, and that's changing the direction of the force. So you can pull down and the flag goes up. An inclined plane we just talked about, that's like a ramp. A wedge is like an axe or a knife. It has it's a double inclined plane, okay, and it comes to a point at the end, and that's what is used to cut. And a screw is a screw. Okay, so let's look at pulleys again. It's a chain, belt, or rope wrapped around a wheel. It can change effort in the direction or the amount of effort. And the wheel and axle is a lever that rotates in a circle, and that's made of two wheels of different sizes. So that would be like a bicycle has a wheel and axle on the gears. So Ferris wheel, gears, and doorknobs. Okay, so that was just a little simple example. Um, I want you to look at the Simple Machines practice on RenWeb, and let me know if you have any questions. You can use your book for reference, and it's pretty simple, talking about simple machines. All right, talk to you guys later. Take care. Bye.